he's considered slash killer, actually. Anyways, all right. So before I do this, Boo, what do you think? What do you think number 10 would be?
Number 10 on a
Yeah,
PSP.
on a
On a PSP
PSP,
list
one of
of
my
games that you
favorites.
like.
Yes, favorite out of 10,
Wow.
literally. What do
Oh.
you think number 10 would be? And like, there is a couple of
Okay.
titles in there.
Dumbass me wants to say the Namco Bandai collection.
That's not even.
But I'm gonna go with
Oh
Mega
my
Man Maverick
god.
Hunter X.
Oh my god, why? Why so low? No
Because it
faith.
wasn't that good.
I
It
mean,
was
it
just Mega Man
was.
X on PSP with
It
bulging.
wasn't. I mean, to be honest, it was. It was good. Mega Man X Maverick Hunter X. It was really, really good. I'm not even gonna say it's not, but I mean, you'll see now. As for number 10, as you guys will see, out of my 10, this is gonna be my 10 favorite PSP games of all time. From 10 to 1, I'll be doing halftime where I will be showing honorable mentions after I get to a certain number, which will be approximately by the top 5. But starting with number 10, we are going to have Soul Calibur, Broken
Oh
Destiny.
my god, why so low?
Here's the main reason why.
You
I
terrible
love
human being.
I love Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, but you cannot deny that there was problems with the game as it was when
No.
it got to the AI.
It was a Soul Calibur game.
And the one thing, and I'm not even gonna bash on the game. Like the game itself had creativity. It had everything it needed for a Soul Calibur game to be good.
Oh my god.
Especially since it was what our
That's-
first Soul Calibur game.
No.
Literally having a Soul Calibur game for PSP, it felt good, and to be honest, it was all right. The only thing that it kind of lacked was like the story mode. It was terrible, and you know that for a fact.
They
The
had
story
no
mode,
story
the-
mode to it.
yeah, the story mode where you got to travel to different places and you had certain characters with you, but they only talk. And by the end of the time, you were at Algo's mercy because that's literally all you can do at the very end, unless you didn't finish it, because I did.
Yeah,
That-
no, I was
that-
having too much fun.
Bro, that the
I don't even know what
that
story you're talking
that
about.
story,
And I've had that game
the
forever.
story for Soul Calibur Broken Destiny was beyond bad.
What do you want, you bastard?
Like everything else about Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, including Kratos being a playable character, the arcade, which was what defense, offense, and endless. All of those trials were very good. The creativity was good because you got to unlock everything. You didn't have to buy nothing with microtransactions. But then again, the game was a handheld, so. But yeah, so Soul Calibur Broken Destiny is number 10 for my least. Very buried down in the gutter.
You're a cold-hearted bastard.
Alright. Next on the list, we're gonna have number 9 with Midnight Club LA. Well, you know
I
more.
don't know. You didn't play that game enough to know what you missed.
I was giving it a long, hard thought between this and Dub Edition. I chose this because it had better cars. Dub Edition for me, I felt like I had to use the same car and change it into different colors. Because I had no fun.
I loved this one because it brought back, once you got to Tokyo and you fucking entered the Midnight Club, it brought back so many memories. Like Stefan was there from fucking Paris, fucking Shing was there with his group of fucking thugs, fucking Zen was there. It was great. It was great.
Like Midnight Club versus Dub Edition in LA. I mean, LA, the only thing it had that Dub Edition did not, there was commentary between the people that
Oh.
you were, interacting with.
Something you didn't know about that game was
What?
they had the body kit for you to make the torque.
Hmm.
You could make the torque. All you have to do is put the wide body kit on the
Not to
Skyline.
mention that this game actually had better car models than Dub Edition, because Dub Edition just, like, the cars, they just kind of look the same. Even though Dub Edition was my very first PSP game, I just couldn't. I just couldn't. So I literally chose LA instead of Dub Edition. I mean, I could have. It was my first game, but I did not. Anyways, The next one, number 8, Mega Man Maverick Hunter X.
Ah, I would have put that at number 10.
Why?
Because it's just Mega Man X on PSP.
But you gotta understand, as a fan, for Mega Man, the graphics, this was the only remake of its kind.
God,
And
it
it was,
on graphics. We played Final Fantasy 1 and 2.
and the game was so perfectly well done with the cinematic scenes, the character, the stages. I could not really pick a better Mega Man game to be rebooted on a PSP handheld. Back then, with these graphics, the game was handled so well. It felt so alive. Not to mention, it had a movie. Even though it wasn't long, it was still a pretty good ass movie.
Name it on your movie list. Not here. This is games.
Still, the game itself was worth every little thing. Literally. The game was not that of a disappointment, which I tend to enjoy Maverick Hunter X for what it's worth, because you know I tend to play a lot of Mega Man in my day. And I still kind of do to this very point. Now, as for number 7, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3. You knew this was coming.
You knew this was coming, Pete.
You knew this was dead ass coming. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3 was by far the best Naruto game on the PSP handheld, hands down. There was how many titles that was Naruto? It was 1, 2. There was Akatsuki Rising, Kizuna Drive. Like, there was a lot of Naruto titles, but this one stuck out the best one because of the roster, the story. Everything about this game was just very good. The only problem was it was just being updated every time. And it was pretty much impossible to play it half of the time because you had to patch it up on the PSP. Which was very annoying back in the day if you didn't know what the hell you were doing. Just imagine. It was just so annoying. But then again, that didn't stop me from playing the game. The game itself was still so freaking good. I just loved everything about it. You could play together, you could co-op, fight each other, do missions together. Everything about it of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3 was just really good. I mean, it stuck out better than the first two. I mean, the second one was just like the most longest story of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes, the trilogy. That's literally the only thing that's known for the second one, is the story itself. Number 6 is probably gonna rip it like a band-aid, so we're just gonna go ahead and do it.
Is it Street Fighter or no?
No, the third birthday in number 6. Now, I do say that the third birthday is by far one of my favorite titles. One of my favorite titles of many. But there was a lot of issues with third birthday that I obviously tend to not like. The story was by far one of the best I've ever experienced, even though it was one of my very only Parasite Eve games I've ever played. And I know a lot of you guys have asked me to try and play the others, but this one was my first, and I really enjoyed the hell out of this game so much. There was just, the controls felt clunky. It kind of felt very complicated as a shooter game for a PSP. But considering how the game came out, because it was done by Square Enix themselves, they did a really amazing job with the game. And I'm not going to say that the game was bad, because the game is good. It's just, it kind of feels awkward and weird when you're trying to play it because of how the controls are so set up the way that they are, because it's a handheld game. I mean, if it was like a platform game, I think the game would have probably came out slightly a bit better, but I'm hoping that they try, maybe they do this game maybe later in the later future, now that Square Enix is actually trying to get the rights to Parasite Eve at the moment, so they could do it again. I really hope so, because this is still one of my favorite games, but I had to put it all the way down there because of that one little thing. Alright. As for number 5, we got Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force 6. Now, there was two choices. I was really struggling with this one. Tag Force 3 or Tag Force 6. I chose Tag Force 6 because, number one, it's 5 days. Number two, everything about it. There was so many cards in that game. Even though I did use some of the same cards, but there was a lot of really good card animations and other stuff. All of the characters were involved in this game, which made it even better. Not to mention, what about the music? The music to Tag Force 6 was by far one of the best soundtracks in 3, 4, and 5 put together because it was all techno music. I loved every little soundtrack of Time Force 6. Not to mention the graphics to Time Force 6 are far more superior to 4 and 5 because, well, let's be honest, there's only one port of Tag Force 6. It was a Japanese port. Therefore, it's the reason why it looks so damn good. I mean, wow. The only bad thing about it is that it was like half of the cards are cut out half of the time. You can't even see them. Nonetheless, you can't even understand the cards, but that didn't stop me from playing the game in Japanese because, fuck it, like literally, as long as I know what the picture is and I know what the card does, that don't matter, right? As long as you know what the picture is.
For you English patchers out there, we thank you.
Why?
Cause I ain't gonna play this shit if I don't know what card I'm putting.
Well, you gotta learn your language.
Especially when the fucking XZs. Honorable mention to Tag Force 7, who never got to see the light of day because English patchers.
Oh my god, I saw that everywhere actually when I was doing that thing.
Still, but I never could get into it.
Why?
Because it just wasn't patched enough. Everybody didn't know what the fucking pendulum cards could do. Or the XZs
Alright.
and shit.
As for honorable mentions, we're gonna start the honorable mentions now before we go to the top 4. So we're gonna start with the 5th and least honorable mention of the thing. Mortal Kombat Unchained.
Ah, Jesus, I would have just left this off completely.
Here's the reason I put it. Mortal Kombat Unchained, yeah, it's the exact same thing as Deception. However, it was the only Mortal Kombat game that you could play on the go. Literally. I mean, it was the only one. Yeah, the conquest was still stupid, but the game did have some fun to it where you could play on the go, and that was the only thing a lot of us wanted, including me. I mean, yeah, it's Deception, but Deception was one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games on the PlayStation 2, besides, you know, Armageddon and so on. Not to mention they had their own exclusive character in Unchained, pretty much, so it kind of made Unchained completely different from the other games on the PlayStation 2. Plus, they had puzzle combat. Mortal Kombat Unchained literally is not one of my favorites. It should be on the top 10. I'm just gonna put it here because the only thing that made it good was that you could play it on the go. I mean, the game was still clunky. The graphics were very bad, but the game itself was still fun to play here and there. It's just not one of those PSP games that you should probably invest in because it's not. It really is not. Honorable mention number 4, God of War Chains of Olympus. Probably the only God of War game I've ever played.
Ooh.
The only God of War game I've ever played in my life. Very first one. But it was fun. I actually got into God of War slightly just because of this one game. And this game did not disappoint me in any bit, but it's not, you know, on the top 10 because I just didn't play it as much as the others. I mean, God of War was good. I played every difficulty to it. It was a pretty fun game to have on a handheld and on the go, and to just play it just to play it, and that was it. It wasn't one of those games that you could just replay all the time because, you know, I mean, God of War is just God of War because of the story. Once you're done, you're done. Okay, for the next one, Boo Boo, you're probably not gonna know this one. I'm pretty damn sure, or remember it at all. Undead Knights. Do you remember this game?
I do, but while you were playing that, I was playing Lord of Arcana. So.
Bro, so Undead Knights, I know a lot of people have no clue what this game is. Probably never even heard of the damn game, but the game.
Wait, hold up. This is higher than Soul Calibur?
Huh? This
What?
is no. This is honorable mentions, bro.
Oh, I was about to say somebody.
This is the ones that never made it to the
I
list.
was about to say
No,
somebody take
no,
this
no,
man to
no,
jail.
no. Undead Nights will probably be beneath Broken Destiny, but it didn't make the list because the game itself had one major problem and never got fixed, which kind of let me only play the game a few times, and I never really did get into it that good. Either way, the game Undead Nights is pretty much about three characters who died in a war, were assassinated, and they're pretty much resurrected as the undead. You would choose one of them and eventually have to play each of their storylines, and of course, they're gonna have the same objective: get revenge on the person who assassinated them, and so on and so forth. But despite the game itself being like the way it was, the game it was very fun for a while. It was just that one little issue that made the game pretty much not one of those things you can go back to. Second one on Black Square.
Oh my god, I don't I hear this video
But here, okay, what Boo Boo? Why do you think I didn't put it on the top 10? Let me see if you know.
because you only played like 4 songs.
That and something else.
Well,
It kind of felt like every time you were messing up, no matter what you did.
no, I have perfect scores. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, the game was really fun. I mean, the music in the game was by far like one of the
Oh,
best
yeah.
I've ever
I
heard.
still
Like
have it on my phone
literally.
to this day.
Black Square's music was wow. Like I know we played what the other DJ Max Portable. Which one was it?
It was oof, I don't remember. I remember the music I used to fucking hit, but it wasn't that great. The other one barely had any music, like good music in it at all. It was all.
Yeah, DJ Max Black Square had a lot of great music, and literally it just felt really good for a handheld game to actually gain the opportunity to
Especially-
play something like that.
Especially the customizations that they allowed you to fix your fucking meter bars, your weaver bars, your music signatures, your background, your fucking boards, everything, your icons. I loved it.
Tekken Dog Resurrection.
This is an honorable mention.
Number one on the honorable mention.
You should go to jail.
Why?
Cut you.
Here's
My
the main
list.
reason.
My list.
Here's the reason.
wow.
Here's the reason why it didn't make top 10
Why?
for me.
Because you were too busy playing Tekken 5.
That's exactly why.
But that's the same reason I chose about fucking Mega Man.
The reason I
Mega
see-
Man has an hour. Fucking Mega Man has a lifespan of 3 hours. And
the
that's if you
thing
speedrun it.
is the thing is about Tekken Dark Resurrection, like it's just for me
No. Tekken Dark Resurrection was great. It had better customization ideas than fucking Tekken 5. They had more characters than Tekken 5. It gave us Lily. It gave us
But
fucking
that's the-
Dragunov. It gave
Exactly,
us Dojo mode.
yeah, I
It
get
gave us
that.
better
I get
difficulties.
that. I'm not
It
saying-
gave us share play. Fucking share play. The only game that I know that gave you share play so you could play with some dumbass who didn't even have UMD on him. I remember being in Taco Plaza with you. You had the game. Some dude with a PSP didn't even have a game. He said, "Hey, does your game have share play?" I have Tekken. Oh, that has share play? Yeah, you can play share play. All you had to do was log in and play with the guy. And you play.
But here's the thing.
And you can play online with each other. You only
Okay,
have to
I
share
got
one
that.
UMD.
But here's
What
the
do you-
problem with
fuck with your
Resurrection.
lies?
Here's the problem with the Resurrection that I had. Every character was already unlocked for you at the start.
Exactly.
Tekken 5 only gave you a certain amount of characters, and you had a reason to play the game over and over again.
Yes, but this came after Tekken 5.
I-
Who go? Why would you want unlockable characters when you can just customize them and go straight into the battles? Yeah.
Because I like to work for the stuff. It kind of kills the replayability for a
My
handheld,
God,
buddy.
Bullshit. You know how many hours you spent on that game? Bullshit. You spent more time on that game than you did ever Tekken 5.
I mean, Tekken 5 I enjoyed because of that. I mean,
Even
I'm
the
not
story mode was better.
I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm just saying
You hit Divine Fist on this game. You didn't even hit Divine Fist on Tekken 5. I never even seen you hit Divine Fist on anything else ever in your life that wasn't this game. This was the only game you
That's
ever
why I
hit the
put it
last
on
rank.
number 1 on the honorable mentions.
Bullshit. bullshit.
I mean, I did play the game a lot. I just
This is the game. If your PSP could keep records of how much time you spent on the game, this would be number one.
well, no shit. It was the only game I could play.
No, this was the only game. You had
Okay.
Midnight Club 3, you had SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, 07, you had this, Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Bullshit.
Okay. Anyways, stepping away from the honorable mentions before
Because
this guy
once you
loses
could
his
hack the
shit.
PSP, he said, fuck this game, I'm gonna download
Anyways,
6. He didn't even play 6 that much. Because
So,
fucking 6 was the worst Tekken ever.
anyways, that's
Fight me on that. I'm that guy from that one meme. Change my mind. Tekken
anyways.
6 is the worst Tekken ever created.
Back to the original list of the top 4. The top 4 games that I have listed right now was very difficult for me to decide because there was a lot of good PSP games that I really enjoyed that deserved the top 5. And the top 4 for me, obviously, is going to be none other than Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team.
Oh,
Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team was
No.
by far one of the best Dragon Ball titles on the PSP handheld, and you know it.
the only way that game would ever make my list is if they fucking had better music. That's
The music,
no.
oh my
What
god,
killed
the
me
music was
with
great.
this game, no. What killed me with that game only had one good song. That's
Literally,
it. Every
like,
other song was shit.
the
Not only
game-
that, Gohan's voice. Because this was the first game that came out when Dragon Ball Z Kai came out. And I was so disappointed with Gohan's voice, I didn't want to use him. And this was the last game I used Team Gohan in. Ever. Because his voice annoyed me so much. I liked the game, don't get me wrong. I love their if song, especially when you play as fucking Bardock and you see what happens if he would have came to Earth and raised Gohan and all that
Like,
shit. But the
literally-
game didn't have much to offer me that fucking Shin Budokai 2 or Shin Budokai did.
Literally, Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team for me, like, I had so much fun with the game. Despite the music, I loved the game because it was a really, really good Tenkaichi game for the handheld. I mean, there was 3 titles for PSP. There was Shin Budokai Another Road, which is still good, but I just liked the Tenkaichi Tag Team better because we got to play together. Not to mention, it was Tenkaichi. It had a really good roster.
Yeah, but it doesn't. What is it that good? For that, I play Ultimate Battle 22 on a fucking mod.
Not to mention, it was the only Dragon Ball Tenkaichi game that we could take on the go and play. Like, it was just that damn good. It was the only closest thing to Tenkaichi 3.
Yeah, but it was still glitchy. Like, it was a nice attempt, but it was still glitchy.
That may be, but despite that, that game
Plus, it was
deserved a
slow.
lot.
It was slow. I felt like I was fighting.
You had
at,
to
like,
run that game at like
75.
333
I felt like
MP.
I
That's
was-
what I
and
did.
the game fucking froze. A lot.
I don't know. I may stream this game one day just for the hell of it because I love this game. I miss this game so much. I think about it all the time when I hear about Dragon Ball Z. That's the first thing that pops into my head. Alright. Now we got number 4 out of the way. This one was also difficult for me to decide. Number 3 is going to be Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, I figured.
The original Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Not Final Mix. Birth by Sleep, the original. And
Yeah.
I'm going to explain why.
Fun fact: he didn't play this in American. He played it in Japanese.
The only reason why, because if you will ask me what is my favorite Kingdom Hearts game of all time, Birth by Sleep. Period.
It's the only fun.
It was the first Kingdom Hearts game that I ever finished. It was the one game that got me into the entire series in the first place. Not to mention, I love all 3 characters. I have a strong connection with one of them. And the reason why I chose this one and not the Final Mix was because Final Mix didn't have the one thing that Birth by Sleep had, which made Birth by Sleep the perfect Kingdom Hearts game, for me especially. Was literally, and you know this, Boo, we got to play together in the Mirage Arena. In
Yup.
Final Mix, that was removed.
Yup.
The Mirage Arena, personally for me, was one of the biggest things that was added to Birth by Sleep, that it felt like it needed to be there so you could play with other people. If that thing was added in the Kingdom Hearts collection on the floor, I would be playing that shit every single day with you. You know that. That shit was so much fun, even though we didn't get to really
I'm
get
so
much out of it.
disappointed they didn't add that on the PS2 version, man. Y'all had so much potential. Way to go, Square. You fucking
Like
suck.
literally, I can't believe they removed it in Final Mix. But that is why, if you ask me, do I like Final Mix? Yeah, I do like Final Mix. I like the difficulties. I liked it, the new skins. I liked it, the additional cutscenes. But it just lacked one little major problem on the handheld, and it was that. I mean, yeah, you give me the final episode, but I got the secret episode, and I got the possibility of playing online, which I can actually enjoy doing most of the time. Which Birth by Sleep, I mean, come on, haven't you ever thought about playing a Kingdom Hearts game with somebody? This was it. It was the only one of its kind to actually do something like that. That's why it's on the list and not Final Mix. It's on number 3 because I do have two other games that are actually
Yeah, like
higher
Def
than
Jam.
that. Maybe on your list, not on mine.
What? It's not here.
No.
What is this?
Number 2,
This
the
policy. Oh, my heart.
Dissidia 12 Duodecim. What is there not to say about this game, man? What? There was
Mods.
nothing. The mods in
Mods.
this game brought this game alive, dude. This game, I remember when the first Dissidia came out, that was what it was needed for us to kickstart our journey with this game. And the moment that people started asking for a second Dissidia, they threw one out of the park with this one. This one was by far the best Dissidia game ever, and still is. Why? You get a really good roster of characters. You get 2 stories instead of 1 because they put the original Dissidia story in this one because Dissidia 12 is...
I'm not gonna lie though, this is the unbiased opinion. I am a Final Fantasy freak, but I am unbiased.
What?
Dissidia 12, I hate to say it, is just an expansion of Dissidia 1.
Yeah,
but that's okay because it's for PSP.
Exactly, but despite it being the expansion, it did really, really
Yeah,
well
it
because
did.
it had one thing that Dissidia didn't have. It gave you the ability to actually walk around, explore, and gave you more replayability because
It
once you
had
finish
a
the
Final
game,
Fantasy element to a story.
yeah, and they gave you the ability to actually move around and journey and shit like that. Like if you finish the game, you could pretty much go and test your skills and fight chaos at like I don't know what level it was, 150, I think. I don't know. But despite that, the game even had mods where you can mod the game and add so much other characters that weren't even in the game, or people who you think
Yeah,
would even
back
be
in my day, while I was
possible.
waiting for Noxus to wake the fuck up and get his game, this was the only way I could play with Noxus. Years before he was even out of fucking developmental hell.
Dissidia 12 for me stands out one of the best Dissidias in my opinion. I mean, yeah, we have NT for the PlayStation, but
NT doesn't stand up to this.
it does not. It really doesn't. The story to this one beats
Way
it
better,
a
way better,
hundred
way
times
better. It
over.
beats it 100 times over.
You got 2 stories, and then both
But-
stories are literally good.
But the City of Opera story beats this one by a fucking mile.
Hey, that's a mobile. That doesn't
It's
count.
a fucking mile. Opera wipes the floor with this story, but gameplay wise, no.
Literally, the City of 12 Duodecim by far has to be in the top 3 because if I didn't, I'd be lying to myself because I put a lot of time into this game, just as much as Tekken. And then obviously there's you that always come up with some cracked
The
story.
stories, oh
The
my
stories.
God. Not only that, this was the only game that I could have and I could take to school and just play with people who had it too. I remember just playing countless times with Fang in first period. Just playing while the teacher was not even paying attention.
Like literally, like I could go on talking about this game. This game has
Not only
so
you
much
even have
memory.
the ghosts of your friends' characters, and the characters play the exact same way your friends would.
The only thing that this game was missing that NT brought in was that you could play together. But beyond that, even though it was one-on-one, the game itself still felt fun and challenging
I'd rather
just
play
doing
by myself
one-on-one.
than have my two AIs
Yeah.
fucking ruin the whole game.
Literally, Duodecim still will stand in my top 10 as number 2, like probably for the rest of my life because literally there's no other game that I know that is well deserving of number 2 than Duodecim. Clearly. And as for number one, I'm pretty sure you guys are ready for it. I mean, who else can handle some Echo Chrome, right, boo boo?
What?
Echo Chrome,
What the fuck is that?
Echo Chrome, the game for strategists. You gotta build stairs and walk the guy and make sure he doesn't fall into zero gravity.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man. It was one of the best games. You got to hear him.
I swear to God, if this is Brooktown High, I'm gonna kill you.
I should probably look away. Oh my God.
show the trick.
But Echo Chrome was fun, right?
Oh my god, that fucking free game.
What free game?
I know Echo Chrome you're talking about. It had themes upon themes on for the PSP.
I mean, did you really not see this coming? I mean, come on now. What is there not to say about
I'm
this
not
game?
gonna lie, it wouldn't be my number one though.
Literally,
As much
I'm
as
gonna
I
put
love
it
it,
as number
it wouldn't.
one because I have a really big reason.
Oh,
It
it's the best PSP game of all time.
Yes,
It's the only PSP game that's ever
period.
sold. But
Period.
I mean, if we're talking about like personal favorites, it's just I think the City beats it a little bit because as much as I love Crisis Core, I play it. I go by play a lot. Like I play the City a lot more than I do
Crisis Core for me, the reason why I put it on number one because I had a really strong connection with this game when I
This was
first
also
got
his
it.
first Final Fantasy game he ever played. Or
Yes,
touched.
which actually got me to like the series more because of the characters and how they were portrayed. The people in this game were just by far one of the best casts I've ever seen, hands down, for a long time when it got to gaming. And it was one of the things that set me off to actually like the series and get into it more. Like, I remember receiving the game, like,
Christmas.
yeah, for Christmas.
You
dude.
asked for it, so I
Yeah, and I
play
ended
it.
up getting it.
It was for me to play it.
Like,
Because I asked for it for Christmas and they didn't fucking get it to me.
no.
I asked it a year way before it came out and they said no.
I remember checking it out on Walmart. They had the little PSP, and I was able to check it out. I was like, dude, this feels really good. Like, this game on a PSP handheld, being the mechanics that it had, just put Final Fantasy on the map with new ideas because it was the first and only game that allowed you to move and control the character and do shit.
Fun fact, Crisis Core's fucking trailer hit the same day Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailer first got revealed. They hit back to back and the fucking crowd went nuts for both of them. The fact that Final Fantasy 7 was breathing light into it again since Surge of Cerberus, and the fact that Final Fantasy was getting its another fucking game. Also, another fun fact: Johnny has never stepped outside of Final Fantasy 7. This was Final Fantasy 7 before 7. Johnny didn't play 7.
Nope.
So he played Crisis Core, which is before 7.
Yep.
And then he played 7, but not the original. He
Nope.
played the remake. But then he played the original on the PC. I don't know
Yeah.
if he finished it.
No, I didn't. It was too long.
So Johnny has only ever played Crisis Core, Dissidia, and the remake. He has never stepped outside of first.
But
out
at
of Final
least,
Fantasy 7.
despite the fact, at least I can say that I know where I stand when it gets to Final Fantasy because this was one of the Final Fantasy games that literally, you would say Final Fantasy 7. A lot of people know Final Fantasy 7 from Crisis Core because of the PSP and how famous it was.
Yup. Actually, yeah. There's a lot of people who say they got into Final Fantasy because of Crisis Core.
Yeah. And I'm one of them. That's literally why it's number one because this game was just
But
too good.
here's the problem with Crisis Core and why it killed something. Crisis Core was Crisis Core was the second Final Fantasy game not to have its turn-based combat. Surge of Cerberus being the first. Final Fantasy is usually a turn-based combat, which is like Pokemon. You take a turn, then the enemy takes a turn, or you take a turn, then your partners take a turn in the party. But Crisis Core was only one person, and you had to decide on what move you were going to make while the enemies were moving and you yourself were moving. So you were moving Zack at the same time and pressing X on the command you were going to give Zack to do, not in turn-based. So people who expected the same games to be like Crisis Core were jumping into Final Fantasy games like 7 and getting, disappointed because it wasn't the same gameplay.
Pretty much, yeah. But besides that, Final Fantasy Crisis Core being the number one title for PSP highly recommend it. I mean, if you've already known this game, then you're good. If you've never heard of it, I don't know if you've been living under a rock since PSP has been out, but this game is definitely something you guys should check out.
Here's another fun fact: Final Fantasy Crisis Core is not only the number one PSP game of all time. You can check this out. This is fact.
Mm-hmm.
It also has the best cutscene of PSP,
Yeah,
just
because
as
literally.
Dissidia NT's final cutscene in the game, Dissidia NT for PS4, also won the greatest PlayStation 4 cutscene of all time.
Mm,
Both Final Fantasies won best cutscenes on both Sony platforms.
literally, yeah.
Unfortunately, PS2 went to Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's that is very true.
Is
But
that the speaker report?
literally, like, for me, for me, Crisis Core and the City of Duodecim, literally, and of course, Birth by Sleep are by far
All Square Enix and Final Fantasy.
literally three games. So Square Enix is, drink to that.
And Third Birthday.
Three of my top favorite PSP games are all done by Square Enix, at least. So that tells you
I'm
something.
pretty sure if you
Square
look around,
Enix-
fucking Undead Knights is probably made by Square Enix too.
Square Enix did a really good job for PSP handheld games back in the day. Like, I'm not even joking. By far, including, the Third Birthday, but literally,
Fun fact: if you play Third Birthday, you unlock the DLC
For Lightning.
Dissidia.
yeah. So there you go. So that's how you know the both games intertwined. So if you play,
Oh, and if you play Final Mix, you got a DLC for Dissidia as well.
I don't remember.
You got the DLC for Cloud.
Ah, yes, 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 yes,
Kingdom
yes,
Hearts
dude.
outfit.
I see. Literally, back in the day, that was like DLC on like
Yep.
really like looking for a needle in the haystack for DLC stuff. Oh my god. But anyways, that's literally the list of my top 10 PSP games. I will be doing another list in later in the future. I'm gonna try to keep this rolling as best as I can, because I know you guys have been asking about this for a while now. I think the next one I'm gonna be doing is PS2 games. I'm trying to like stay in the retro perspective because now
you didn't
that
mention any wrestling games.
that's kind of like your style for you. Literally, I didn't mention it because that was kind of more like our thing. I was only mainly going between like my favorite ones. I'm not gonna go and say like the best ones because SmackDown versus Raw deserves to be on the best ones because there wasn't a lot of. I mean, yeah, all the SmackDown versus Raw were reported.
Early PSP, fucking 2006